driven by 19-year-old rookie sensation Greg Holbrook. No problem with veteran Ron Dennis behind the wheel in its first U.S. Hobbit Association National Event appearance. These two will do battle in a U.S. Hobbit Association shootout event like no other.
Tallahassee, Florida. I'm Brad Kupner. You know, monster truck racing has come an awful long way in a very short period of time, but there's one young man who is considered to be the next big rising star in this business. 19-year-old Greg Holbrook, driving the Equalizer Chevrolet, is going to attempt to put the equalization factor on the rest of the monster trucks assembled here.
And from Uniondale, New York, you'll see the nation's top mud racers, Jeff Acker in the Insanity Roadster, three-time and defending world champion Tom Martin in the Super Trooper, plus past world champion David Ray in the Midnight Magic Ford, all battling for world championship points. Welcome to the 1991 U.S. Hobbit Association Monster Truck Challenge Series. To the 1991 Monster Truck Challenge Series. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Tallahassee Civic Center in Tallahassee, Florida, as we prepare for the first and only qualifying round for monster trucks on an extremely short distance course. But believe me when I tell you that this particular type of racing places triple the amount of pressure on the drivers, because reaction time will probably, more often than not, win a race. First up will be the youngster that we talked about, probably one of the hottest young drivers in the sport today. Greg Holbrook in the Equalizer rear-engine GMC truck in the far lane. The young Tennessee driver lines up alongside the 1990 U.S. Hobbit Association Camel Rookie of the Year, Fort Worth Texan Rob Morris in the four-wheel crazy Ford Ranger. Now, during preliminary action, we've seen problems for the Equalizer machine. The four-wheel crazy truck seemed to be running extremely well. But right now, it's do or die. One truck against the clock for qualifying. And an excellent run for the youngster from Tennessee, keeping it low to the ground for once. There are two different ways to approach this course. He picks the lowrider approach with an elapsed time of 2.31 seconds. That will bring Rob Morris up to the line of the incredible four-wheel crazy entry. And as we pointed out, there are two different approaches to this course. Keeping it low to the ground and using power through the wheels for traction, or sailing over most of the course with a solid first hit on the crush cars. 2.31 seconds, the mark to beat. Morris inches forward and is ready. Waiting for the green light, he leaves the line. And Morris takes the airborne approach, as smooth as glass. But the elapsed time for the blue Ford, 2.38 seconds. 0.07 of a second slower than Holbrook in the Equalizer. The GMC with Chevy power retains the lead in this four-truck invitational field. But when we return, the war in Tallahassee continues. And we've still got super modified mud racing action yet to come. Stay with us. We're back in Tallahassee, Florida, as we continue qualifying for a special four-truck invitational monster truck field on a very short but demanding course. The next driver up, Ron Dennis, out of the state of Arizona, driving John Moore's Tennessee-based No Problem Ford Bronco. Dennis has taken over the driving chores from John Moore after he was injured in an accident late last season, and so far is really an unknown quantity of this machine. This is his first U.S. Hobbit Association National Championship event. The green light located at the end of the course right now has every bit of Dennis's attention. However, the truck may have been a little short on power down near the end of the course as it landed on the crush cars, and that may have slowed him. The elapsed time, 2.311 seconds. The mark to beat was 2.310, and indeed that will garner Dennis the number 2 qualifying spot by 1/1000th of a second. The final qualifier moves to the starting line. It's a gorgeous piece of equipment, also in one of its first weekends in competition. Longtime U.S. Harmon Association monster truck campaigner Ray Perkowski out of St. Louis, Missouri, best known for his performances with the Evil Force tow truck, the only monster wrecking rig we had ever seen, now with the brand new Invader 1991 Ford F-350. The U.S. Harmon Association ground crew helping line up the 10,000-pound, 750-horsepower monster. The Ford from the Gateway City, now staged and ready. The mark to beat, 2.310 seconds. And taking the high-flying approach, Perkowski puts down a good one, but just misses the number one spot at 2.33 seconds. That will put Perkowski in the field, but the number one spot goes to the 19-year-old from Tennessee, Greg Holbrook, in the equalizer, followed by Ron Dennis and the no-problem Bronco. So with qualifying complete, all that's left is the battle. Welcome back to the Tallahassee Civic Center, where we have completed qualifying in this special four-truck invitational monster truck showdown, and we are now ready for the first round of side-by-side eliminations in a field that had four trucks separated by less than 80 thousandths of a second in qualifying. And we've already had a little mishap down on the starting line as Ray Perkowski runs over one of the water buckets used to keep the dust down on the monster truck starting line, but that certainly won't affect things. Perkowski, you may remember, was the number 3 qualifier at 2.33 seconds, literally 0.02 of a second slower than this young man. The pole qualifier, 19-year-old Greg Holbrook in the rear-engine GMC-bodied equalizer of Gary Cook out of Tennessee. Now remember, this is an extremely short monster truck course, but it is going to place an incredible amount of importance on the driver's ability to leave the starting line after the green light comes on as quickly as possible. Driver reaction time will most likely play an important part in this four-truck invitational showdown. From a sheer elapsed time standpoint, Ray Perkowski knows the Invader Ford can hold its own against the equalizer. But any advantage a driver can gain on his opponent off the starting line, any reaction time advantage, is money in the bank off the starting line. Look at the intensity on the face of 19-year-old Greg Holbrook. If looks could kill, this kid would have already knocked out the entire field. Now the signal goes out to stage. Perkowski waiting patiently. The crowd cheering the Chevy driver as he moves to the starting line. And we're ready for the first battle here in Tallahassee. The visor comes down. Both drivers intensely concentrating on the green light. An incredibly close battle. Certainly on this short course, we knew we were going to see some tight finishes, but that one was just flat too close to call. And the numbers have something to say about the outcome of this race, too. On the replay, we'll be able to see that the Invader got a hole shot of 89 thousandths of a second. But at the finish line, it was a 2.27 second to 2.39 second win for the kid. The finish line difference, 17 thousandths of a second. The Invader heads for the pits, and the kid in the equalizer advances to the final round. Meanwhile, in Uniondale, New York at the Nassau Coliseum, we are getting ready for the single qualifying round for the four-car open field of super modified mud racers on the U.S. Harmon Association Camel World Championship Series. And the very first machine up to do battle on the 80-foot-long mud racing pit is the Gambler, Wayne Franks, with a narrowed, chopped, and sectioned Ford-powered Bronco ready to do battle. Remember, it's an elapsed time competition over 80 feet of 36-inch deep mud. Franks locks up the brakes as you've got to stop within another 80 feet. The elapsed time, an excellent run for the Ford. His first man out, 2.26 seconds. Remember, only the 4 quickest drivers will qualify for the shootout that determines the champion. Here's the most recognizable mud racer in the sport, the machine that took Tom Martin to 3 consecutive Racing World Championships. The Mud Patrol nitrous oxide injected 1932 Ford with his new driver behind the wheel, Indiana's stock car racing veteran, Paul Schaefer. 1,500 horsepower on tap. Schaefer readies himself. An unbelievable run on the brakes hard, trying to stop. He does. You've got to stop it within 80 feet past the finish line, and Schaefer takes the pole, 1.99 seconds. Bill Bartlett, a veteran in New England with the moonlighting Ford Bronco. Big block Ford wedge head power. But not the best starting line launch for Bartlett as he slides to a stop. The elapsed time, 2.49 seconds, will qualify him in the quick 4 right now in the number 3 position. Another Ford product, but this one is the entry that finished the best with Fomoco power in the 1990 U.S. Auburn Association Camel World Championships. It's the Ward family from Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, with the Mystic Warrior nitrous-injected Ford wedge-powered machine. But it's not Preston Ward doing the driving. It's 17-year-old Matt Ward behind the wheel in his first appearance. And not a bad run. He'll take a position in the field at 2.25 seconds. The youngster gets a spot in the quick 4 right now. So it takes a run of 2.49 seconds to make the field. In ESPN super slow motion, you can see that young Matt Ward made a picture-perfect mud racing run, leaving the starting line with a minimum wheel spin, getting the front end up so that the weight transfer helps apply power to the rear wheels through this pit. It is imperative that these machines skim the surface of this 36-inch deep mud pit, not plow through it. As the machine drifts a little bit towards the left at the finish line, Matt Ward corrects, even with the left front wheel in the air. And then at the finish line, the kill switch connected to these machines, an 80-foot cord from the starting line, shuts the engine down, and the driver begins the braking process because he must shut these machines down to a complete stop within 80 feet past the finish line or risk total disqualification. Young Matt Ward gets on the brakes, keeps the machine straight, and comes to rest with an elapsed time of 2.25 seconds and a spot in the program. The next man up is the guy they call the Wild Man, Mike Spina, and the supercharged Chevy-powered 1927 Ford T Roadster called Psychotic Beast. 2,000 horsepower on tap. Spina on the brakes hard. He'll stop it in time. Literally a matter of feet between the front wheels and the disqualification line. Spina and the Psychotic Beast qualifies for the show, 2.03 seconds. That will bump out the Moonlighting machine, and the next driver up must go quicker than 2.26 seconds to qualify. And it'll be another East Coast veteran, Rich Marcini, his brand new nitrous oxide injected Chevy-powered 32 5-window coupe called Naturally Wired. Marcini, a good run on the brakes hard. He stops it within a matter of feet and a career best 2 seconds flat. It'll qualify for the program with the Mystic Warrior hanging on to that bump spot number 4 at 2.25 seconds. But we've got more super modified qualifying to go, including this man, the world record holder Jeff Acker, and 3-time world champion Tom Martin. Don't go away. We're back at the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York, continuing the one-shot qualifying session for the Super Modified Mud Racers. And on the starting line is the quickest man in Super Modified history. Milwaukee, Wisconsin's Jeff Acker, the supercharged Chevrolet-powered 1923 Ford T Roadster called Insanity. He's gone as quick as 1.683 seconds. But right now, he has to go quicker than 2.25 to qualify. Picture-perfect run. He slides to a stop. Acker runs 1.90 seconds. Number 1 qualifier. But up next is the killer, the winningest mud racer in history. 45 national event victories for this man, Tom Martin in the Super Trooper. A great run. Martin shuts the engine down early to aid him in stopping the elapsed time, 1.93 seconds. It'll give him the number 2 spot. Here's another past world champ, David Ray, the 85 titleist in the Midnight Magic supercharged full-size Ford. And he shuts down early, trying to avoid going out of bounds. The elapsed time, 2.08 seconds. David Ray will not make the program. The next attempt on the starting line will be Greg Noonan at the wheel of the Nancy's Nightmare Jeep CJ funny car with Chevy power. And big-time problems for Noonan. He had to go quicker than 2 seconds flat to qualify. He's just happy he made it through this 36-inch deep pit. 2.84 seconds won't help Noonan. But the top 4 qualifiers, led by the world record holder Jeff Acker, feature 4 cars under 2.01 seconds. We're back in Tallahassee, Florida, as we continue the semifinal round of our 4-truck invitational monster truck shootout that has truly turned into a gunslinging contest. The driver with it's quicker on the draw has a definite advantage here. And another insanely close matchup. Literally, again, a dead-even finish. We'll have to look at the replay. 2.31 seconds to a losing 2.22-second run for Rob Morris. The difference at the finish line, how about 8 thousandths of a second? And on that replay, you can see the hole shot by Dennis in the no-problem Ford, and 88 thousandths of a second advantage off the starting line. And Rob Dennis goes to his first ever U.S. Hot Rod Association Championship final round against the kid in the equalizer. We're back at the Nassau Coliseum with our 4 quickest super-modified mud racers already qualified for the Camel Shootout to determine the championship, and the first man up will be the new driver of the winningest mud racing vehicle in U.S. Hot Rod Association history. Paul Schaefer at the wheel of Tom Martin's Mud Patrol, the new driver for the nitrous oxide-injected 32 Chevrolet, will be first man up. The quickest elapsed time from these 4 wins the overall championship. Huge pair of wheel stands on the brakes hard. Schaefer stops it in time and sets the pace at 2.10 seconds. An unbelievable ride, and look at the ruts that are forming on the starting line. It's going to make it that much more difficult for Rich Marcini's New Jersey-based naturally wired machine to find traction. Marcini shuts it down only 5 feet before the finish line, trying to gain a stopping advantage, but the elapsed time won't help him. 2.17 seconds. But now, the quickest super-modified mud racer in history. Jeff Acker's Milwaukee-based Insanity 2,000 horsepower roadster inches forward to the line. He must go quicker than 2.10 seconds to get the lead. The visor comes down. Acker knows where traction is and where traction isn't. And something goes away in the drivetrain of the Insanity machine. Acker, obviously dejected, stops 15 feet shy of the finish line and will not be a threat to win this event. It's the first time we've seen Acker fail in a national championship event this year, and that will hurt his chance to try and pick up world championship points on Tom Martin at this event. That is an unhappy professional mud racer. And what happens when a mud racer sinks in 36 inches of mud? You've got to pull him out with all the equipment you can. And Tom Martin knows that there will be some holes created down at that finish line. Right now, the war will be between this man, the 3-time and defending world champ, and his team driver, Paul Schaefer, in his old Mud Patrol machine. Martin debuting this new Super Trooper nitrous oxide-injected Chevy machine this year. He must go quicker than 2.10 seconds to get the win from the other half of the Indiana operation. The banner lying across the finish line helps the driver see where the starting line itself is. The electronic photo cells that mark the starting line will actually record whether or not the car is sufficiently staged. He shuts it down early, but he stops in time. A picture-perfect run for Martin. The elapsed time, 1.98 seconds. Another victory for Tom Martin. Incredible job. A picture-perfect run with the front end just skimming the surface.
I think they stand in this hole down here, aren't you?
National event win number 45.
And I got to tell you, that was one of probably the trickiest tracks you've had to deal with this year.
Yeah, the track was really tricky. I was worried about the car breaking on the starting line. We had a lot of mud on the tires. It puts a lot of weight on everything. You know, I'm glad that they put these big holes down here to help me stop.
It would look like a pretty rough landing down here, too. This is what you need to keep that bid for a 4th straight World Championship going.
That's right. I need a little luck. You know, my luck hasn't been too good, and this weekend is good. I hope it keeps going.
Congratulations, Guy. Great job again.
Thank you. Thank you.
The king of this particular form of motorsports, whose national event victory total is racking up fast. This incredible, perfect style has made him a true champion. Meanwhile, back in Tallahassee, Florida, we're ready for Monster Truck's final round. This one, the 4-truck invitational Monster Truck field that has presented some of the closest racing we've witnessed in 1991. An extremely short course that has produced its fair share of upsets, but has given us some literal side-by-side racing. And again, reaction time will be all important. In the first round of competition, we saw the no-problem Ford Bronco of Rob Dennis in the near lane record an elapsed time equal to that he ran in qualifying, 2.31 seconds. Meanwhile, Greg Holbrook in the far lane in the equalizer ran 2.27 seconds. That is low elapsed time of the event for winners. Remember, Rob Morris ran 2:22 and losing. So the track is at least staying the same as it was in qualifying. Now it's between the rookie kid in the far lane and a driver new to the U.S. Hoppet Association trail in the near lane for the championship dash. An incredible battle for the 3rd straight run. Literally, a winner could not be determined. But the reaction time advantage, a huge 0.13 of a second, went to the no-problem Ford. And at the finish line, look at this, 1/1000th of a second between them. You couldn't ask for a wilder battle.
Congratulations, Guy. What a job.
Feels good for a change.
You know, you have done so well since jumping into this truck. I think even you have to be surprised, especially after beating a truck like Equalizer.
Oh, yeah, he was a 1989 world champion. This is the second weekend I've ever been in the truck. You know, me and John run together for the last 4 years. He injured himself, and he's got one machine here.
I will tell you this much. You left the starting line first. There's no question your reactions were better. He made it close down at the finish line, but you did get the jump on it.
That's what counts.
Indeed it is.
In fact, it counted by this much, 1/1000th of a second, 2:21 to a losing 2:07. We have seen some upsets in Monster Truck Racing, but hardly any can compare to Ron Dennis's visit to the winner's circle in only his 2nd competitive event. Both he and truck owner John Moore were elated beyond words. Certainly hardly they could believe it, but the crowd was behind him all the way, beating one of the toughest trucks in the business. You're going to hear a lot more from this guy, and we'll be there to show it to you.